All right, thank you for staying with Daybreak. You're just in time for State of the Nation discussion, where we talk about all matters politics in the country in the last week and beyond. Let me introduce my guest one more time. Honorable Dr. Tiende Amolo, Member of Parliament for Arieda, is here. Thank you for making time. Honorable Dr. Kimani Wamatangi, Kiambu Senator and Majority Chief Whip, is also with us. And Honorable Mithika Linturi, Senator from Meru, is also with us. And His Excellency Dr. Alfred Mutua, Machakos Governor, is also here. We'd like to hear from you at Trevor Mbija at Citizen TV Kenya. Hashtag Daybreak. I see the conversation has already started. Let's start off with the newspapers and then get into the week's political issues. Front page of the Daily Nation. Raila bets on tighter ties with Jubilee. He says it will be an unstoppable movement, will also bring together other parties. River Nile has left Lake Victoria and no force will stop it. Rambitik, I'll start with you there. Are you going to be swept away by this river?
Yeah, this is not the first time we have had the River Nile. Seeing the River Nile has left Lake Victoria. This is not the first time. We've had many these sentiments for a very long time, and often or rarely do we find River Nile getting to where it is supposed to or sweep anybody. They've ended being swept themselves. So let's wait and see. I think depending on in what the context is talking about, whether it's the BBI, whether it's the elections that are coming, I am sure we are ready for him.
They're calling it a power pact ahead of 2022 elections.
You know, if there is an idea of having a power pact with Jubilee, probably I would also be asking which in Jubilee, because as far as I'm concerned, Jubilee is now not a party that anyone would want to associate himself seriously with, because the problems that Kenyans facing right now is as a result of betrayal. It's as a result of failure by Jubilee to meet the expectations of the people of Kenya, and Jubilee will be such a big baggage for anyone.
Let me bring in the Majority Chief Whip on this, and that's one of your senators speaking like that, saying that Jubilee is a betrayal and a failure. What do you make of that statement?
Well, I'll be commenting in my capacity as a senator for Kiambu, elected on a Jubilee ticket.
Yeah.
And you know, Senator Mithika Linturi is equally elected on a Jubilee ticket, and his term of office is still valid until 2022. And so when he says that Jubilee is a big baggage, he's saying that he's baggage himself to the people of Kenya, because what he ought to do, and not him, I would not be responding directly to him, but I would be responding to the theory and thought line. And I spoke about it here last time, Trevor, that this notion that you can be given a mandate by the people of this republic upon election, and then somewhere midway you change tune and tact and decide that you can abdicate, because that's the right term, and claim that you are still good to go, that you are still acceptable, and it is okay, that it sits with the people of this republic well. Yet you've left the responsibilities, you've not kept the promise. You've not lived up to your words, because see, we said that we are going to deliver by the year 2022 when we were elected in 2017. And we can have different political persuasions. You can change your thoughts and minds in between and think that you would want to be there, but you have to remember that you have a contract with the people. You have a social contract. And you have said to the people that give me this time, allow me this term, which the people know that it is 5 years when they come to elect you. And this and that is what I'm going to do. And you can only wait until that time. And then come 2022, you say, I lived in Jubilee, I tried to deliver in Jubilee, it did not deliver, and so now I want to go this way. The reason I say that, Trevor, if you allow me to just finalize that thought, is this, that we will be perpetuating a culture that is deceitful to this country and to the electorate, whereby it will now be okay, to be fashionable, to be an all right thing to do.
Yeah.
And then what would be the use of politics and political leadership? And one thing I would want to tell you and tell our viewers this morning, Trevor, is I think actually if you critically look at what is the real contribution of political leadership in the general well-being and development and growth of the Republic. And I think sometimes the way we are moving, political leadership's contribution to the development, growth, and well-being of our country is overrated. Okay. It is overrated. If you look at how much does a politician put in the well-being of the Mamamboga, who wakes up in the morning to go to Marigiti, to go to Hashamba, and eke out a living, you find that mostly it is a contract that has not been fulfilled. It is just filled with stories that people don't intend to live up to. So, just as far as that is concerned, I would want to be clear that we have a responsibility. And I know when we went to Jubilee, we went as a team. We went with the President, Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. We went with the Deputy President, William Samoei Ruto. We went as senators and everybody who wore that red. And we stood in Kasarani and we said, this is our manifesto. And we are going to be asked these questions. They must live up to that expectation, and let's puff that thing up and break it at 2022 when we can be able to show the country that this is what we have done. And
not any time earlier. Dr. Otiende, what do you see in this issue around, now we've mixed two issues. There's the issue of the political pact that is being talked about here on the Daily Nation, and then there's the Jubilee purge where the senators were axed at some point. Is it a culture of deceit or a culture of intolerance?
Good morning, Kenya. And on that question, I think what Raila said is that there will be a formation of a bigger political pact with the ruling party. He didn't just say with Jubilee, it's with the ruling party. There are those like my friend Senator Linturi who have, constructively and effectively left Jubilee. So obviously they can't be the ones being referred to, so they cannot object. About 2.5 years ago in a similar show, I predicted that there will be a movement, a political tectonic movement. And this is what Raila is talking about. And it's both about the referendum as well as about the election. About the referendum, it's already there. There is actually a coalition of the willing who are pushing the BBI. The only person who cannot make up his mind and his team is the Deputy President and his team. They say they're not opposing, and then they go ahead and oppose. And this, of course, will continue even to the next election. When the Right Honorable Raila Odinga says it is like the River Nile, and Linturi says we've had this talk before, he forgets that we've had this talk and it has come to fruition. That Nile has been flowing, and it has flown severally towards Egypt. The only problem is that we had adjudicators who, instead of saying the Nile is flowing to Egypt, decided that the Nile was actually flowing to Ginger. But now this time round we assume and hope, and we are working on it, that there will be no negation of the winners of the elections. I think that what my friend Senator Linturi says is unfortunate. When you say Jubilee has betrayed the people, and you are part of that team that was given that mandate for 5 years, and the people were given another chance and they re-elected you for another 5 years, and you have 2 years to go and you say there has been a betrayal, the decent thing to do is to resign. And that goes for everyone. If today I decided that ODM has betrayed the people of Rarieda, but I want to continue to serve them, I must have the courage to tell ODM, go to hell. And I go back to the people and tell them, you have been betrayed, and I want to go back on a different mandate. That is political hygiene. To do otherwise is totally inhygienic. And coming and tying that to the question you ask, I think that we have taken this thing too far in Kenya. The idea, and we are betraying the sovereign will of the people. When my brother here, Governor Mutua, chose that he wanted a mandate on a party that he believes the people of Machakos want or would want to give him authority to, he formed his own party, the Chap Chap movement. And they gave him that mandate. If today he himself decides that either for other reasons within that party, that he does not have control of it or it has lost direction, then he must tell the people who mandated him on that party that, look, you gave me a mandate on this party, but quite honestly, it is not the right party, it's not working. Either give this mandate to someone else or give it to me on a different platform.
Yeah.
That is what democracy requires. This idea of thinking that you are elected on one party and the people vote for you believing in that party, but that you have the freedom to leave that party, to insult that party, and to go elsewhere, is actually an insult to democracy, because you are betraying the mandate of those who elected you in the first place.
Yeah. Dr. Mutua?
You see, it's very interesting because I'm a party leader of a different party, so listening to affairs of another party, what is coming out here, listening to the two senators, is that it's all about acquisition of power. These parties were not really formed for the sake of really delivering for the people of Kenya, but for acquisition of power. When you hear Majority Whip, Dr. Wamatangi, start talking about politicians and politics really not delivering, what he's actually saying is that they don't really have a role to play that has been properly set in this society, because it's all about power. When I listen to Senator Linturi talking about Jubilee and all this which Jubilee has been talking about, it's an indicator that the party is talking about is in shambles. There's a problem in that party. And the question that that party needs to ask itself is, how did this party get to be where it is today? A party that has won 2 elections back to back is in shambles. Why? Who is causing the problem? Is a problem Uhuru Kenyatta? Is a problem William Ruto? Is a problem the senators? What is eating Jubilee? What is the problem? And I bet it's all about acquisition of power. Because the problem we have in this country, the challenge we have, especially in African continent, is that people run for office to acquire power, not necessarily to save their people from poverty or the yoke of unemployment or the many challenges that we face. That is a problem that we have. Okay. And so when I hear the revolutionary talk, they talk about manifesto, and you know, good Wakili here has said it. If you have problems with it, just don't have your cake and eat it too. You know, it's the taxpayers paying you. If you feel that that party that is in power is not really in power, then quit.
Okay.
Tukupatia kazi ingine ya kulima, kuosha barabara, vitu kama hizo.
Yeah, Senator.
Yeah, you see, Ambija, one problem is that these people may not, like Mutua, will not be able to see things in the same perspective, because he's a party leader. And, you know, doesn't want also to admit that party leaders are the source of problems in this country. Because one, when the people believe in them, and people get into parties, because our democracy is not that developed, such that we may be following political parties in terms of ideology. Most people follow parties because of the leaders that are there. And when you are trusted by the people, people come into that particular party, and then are elected on that particular party. It doesn't mean necessarily that the people believed in the manifesto of that particular party. And this is one of the major causes of the problem, because those that have some background history on even the formulation of the Political Parties Act, on why political parties have to be funded from public coffers, was to make sure that that ownership of political parties was transferred to the people. Now, these political party leaders have now perfected the heart of dictatorship in political parties. And this is what is causing the problem. And let me ask you honestly, because politics is so dynamic, things are changing every time. When you get into a marriage and realize that one of your partners is so dishonest to the extent that you are even so afraid of your position in that particular relationship, the best thing, even if people are talking about divorce or getting out there, is to look at the whole scenario and see how you can be able to exist within that particular framework, either for the sake of the children for that particular period of time as you get organized. And I'm saying this because I have a lot of respect for Jubilee, because I worked for Jubilee and I'm elected on a Jubilee ticket. But if I'm as a member to the level of a senator in this country, and you won't just tell me, just resign, go seek second mandate. By the way, I was not just elected because I was in Jubilee.
Yeah.
But even when Kanu never had any member of parliament in the Ngema region, I was elected on Kanu. I have an history. Yeah. I am myself.
Yeah.
So the fact that I'm in a party doesn't mean that now I lose my foresight, I lose my independence of thought, yeah. I lose my right of expression, okay. and point out those things that are not working. Yeah. And this is why I'm saying, yeah. We really need to understand, if the political parties were giving us, for example, a room to hire out our views, to correct our problems within political parties with a certain structure, you will not be finding these problems. But they can't be in a party where I pay money to, and for the longest time, we've yeah. never had a PG meeting. We've never earned a parliamentary group meeting. And the PG meeting is the one that I attended the day before yesterday, yeah. which was to kick out Kangata. That's the first time I saw my chairman. That's the first time I had a meeting with the Secretary General. We have never. So I don't want to be boxed into a situation where you are being told, please resign and go. Okay. This party does not belong to individuals. I think we are subscribers to a party, and party is a movement of many people. And since we are agreeing that we must get out, yeah. the best suggestion I would have wanted to hear is how do we suggest legislation to check or to ensure, to accommodate people yeah. with decent view in political parties,
do you think
so that our democracy grows.
Do you think kicking out Kangata and bringing in Wamatangi was done in a just way?
Yeah, by the way, this guy is my very good friend, and I wish him well. And to me, I am yet to form that opinion, whether it was just or not. I attended the meeting. We were 24 senators in that yeah. particular meeting. Yeah. 10 senators, after the meeting, said, we are not going to sign the resolution. And the others remained. They didn't raise the numbers for the first time. But if they have managed to do other meetings, that subsequent after that one, and yeah. where we were not invited, and they have acquired the numbers, that's why when his name was read in the Senate last evening, yesterday, I rose and sent and asked the Speaker kindly, furnish us with the minutes and the list of those people that attended the meeting, and see whether they comply with the standing orders. Yeah. If they do, we have no problem, because these positions are given by the party, or by the senators themselves, because the senators were supposed to elect their leaders. So yeah. if the senators that not supported the ouster of Kangata, we have no problem. I would have, at a personal level, supported Wamatangi. Yeah. But you see, what I was challenging is yeah. the process. Okay. It's the process of removal of a senator, so that at least we are sure yeah. the right process, the right meeting is called with the right agenda, and so that people always know exactly what they're going to do, right. but not get ambushed in a meeting. Secretary General comes and tells you, I want you to remove Kangata. Who is he? He's after the BS of an individual by the name President as the party leader. And the leadership or the leadership of a political party within the Senate yeah. is supposed to be decided by the senators. Okay. But when people have a rungu or new and a gun and are telling you to do, this is not democracy. This is not what we wanted. And, and I think Kenyans must always know, as even when we get into the next elections, yeah. time has come when we must lay trust and belief in institutions. Okay. In institutions and not individuals. All right.
Wamatangi, do you think you were appointed in a just manner?
Well, it's a question that I would have rather not answered. You know, I mean, I would say in my thinking, Trevor, but I will answer it. But in the true sense of the word, I would not think it is a fair question. But let me put it.
I thought, Trevor, it would be a simple yes or no.
But let me put it this way, yes. Trevor, because there are lots of details to it. One, given what my good friend Senator Linturi has said, to begin with, we were more than 24 senators actually. And the documents that were circulating, they were supposed to be signed by the senators. And indeed, I want to confirm to you, Trevor, that on that day, I was invited here on Citizen TV in the evening.
And you declined?
But I declined. Yeah. The reason why I declined to come is I told your producer, who had invited me, that until that process is legitimately over, yeah. That's the only time I can come and appear. But otherwise, when it's not over properly, I cannot come and claim a position. And that's why I did not come. And I said, because I'm a panelist here in this show, I will come because I'm sure by then the process will have been over and it will be legitimized. And so what my good friend is saying, and he has a right to that opinion, you know, is addressed properly. Every document is there. And I can only assume any position, Trevor. And this goes along to the ideals that I hold as a person and the principles that I uphold as a legislator and also as a leader. That one, I have to uphold not only fairness, but truthfulness. And so I would only, and I did only assume office once all the processes were followed. Yeah. And then I'm sure that it was done legitimately. So the answer is a firm yes. Okay. Notwithstanding the merits or demerits of who was removed or what, the office, I believe, in is that once you've been given that responsibility, it can only and should only make you a better person and bring the best version of you in service. Remember, Trevor, any office that we hold on behalf of the people of Kenya is supposed to promote well-being and deliver services to the people of this republic. And my mind is very clear. I said that in the Senate yesterday, as to what the responsibilities of the majority chief whip are, is to ensure that we pass good laws, good legislation, and get people to have bigger and better consensus. And once you have a good law that will help the country, then you've played your role. To amend laws that we think that should be improved to serve the people, and to reject laws that you think are not good for the well-being of society and promotion of our democracy and our people. That's my role. Yeah. And so it is not about Matangi versus who. It's an office that's perpetual. That you come in, I will leave. Okay. Somebody else will come in. So I think that's the background. But can I get back to the discussion now? Yes. Because that's what I wanted to talk about.
Say something.
We want to say something about it.
Because I'll also get their views on this appointment.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So do you want them to give their views?
Let's do it first, then we come
back. Because you know, there are things that Linturi had said I wanted to talk about.
Let's get over with this. Let me say three things of this. First of all, I think the Jubilee parliamentarians had long forfeited the right to determine parliamentary leadership. And not just in this term, even in the previous term. Senator Linturi cannot come here and complain that the leadership is to be determined in Parliament when he knows that at all material time, there were always someone to State House and told the chair of this committee will be this person, the vice chair will be this person, and that's how it has been. So you cannot come back after 8 years and start complaining about it. In any event, he slipped, and he started by saying that the leadership of Parliament is determined in State House. Then he said, no, it should be determined in Parliament. That slip was the reality. Secondly, by their own admission, they have moved and formed another party, the UDA. You cannot have your cake and eat it. You cannot, by your own declaration, be in another party, which you say is going to sweep the country. And then when the party you've left is changing its leadership, including those who have joined you, then you go and complain. You cannot have your cake and eat it. But lastly, the arena of determination of those questions is the floor of Parliament. And for us parliamentarians, what the Speaker says is final. Anyone who wants to challenge it can then challenge it in court by judicial review. Yeah. I saw Speaker Lusaka pronounce himself on that issue. And therefore, for all material purposes, the issue is settled. Okay. Dr. Mutua?
I want to throw a span into the works here, and I want to first congratulate Dr. Matangi for your appointment, and I think you'll be a very good majority whip, because I know your character and I know you very well for many years. Congratulations. But then the question comes in, what happened to Kangata? What did he do wrong? You know what I mean? Because I've listened to Senator Matangi say that the role of a whip is to galvanize people to be able to pass good legislation and then get them together to reject bad laws, etc., etc. So what good legislation was he unable to pass? What bad laws went through in his watch? So we have to ask ourselves, what fate has befallen Kangata, what wrong did he do?
Yeah.
Is it a sign that Jubilee is a bit intolerant? You know, I came out and supported Kangata when he wrote the letter. Because as a young person, and he's a young senator, he's got fire burning in his chest, and he needs to express himself. He may not do it the right way. And I think some of these things, you call him, you slap him on the hand, tell him next time, you make a valid point, but do it this way.
Yeah.
But this ostracizing habit, I don't know whether that's the right expression, the right pronunciation of that word, but it's a bit scary. Yeah. It's making Jubilee look a bit intolerant.
Okay. It
looks like it's either this way or no way. Because I saw Kangata come out and he basically apologized. He said, I wrote this letter, maybe I did not do the right way, but I was under pressure from my people. Because he's also come out and said he has not gone to the Tanga side. He's still in Jubilee, he respects the president. So I think the punishment, which is what it is a message to the rest of the Jubilee rank and file that either you toe the line or, you know, and may have been a bit harsh. Okay. Doesn't mean, but maybe there were other failures within the system. Maybe it was not galvanizing people enough. Maybe it was not whipping them properly to pass legislation. I don't know. I have my own party. I'm not in Jubilee. Okay. But to the rest of us out here watching, it's marks of a bit of intolerance.
Senator Linturi, are you in UDA or Jubilee? That statement has come up several times.
This is the impression that Tiendo Molo was trying to create, that we formed another political party. Yeah. For your information, UNDA is a coalition partner of Jubilee. UNDA as members of parliament, sitting members of parliament. The leader, the deputy leader of the Senate, the majority deputy leader, is UDA, Fatuma Ndulo, who is my good neighbor from Isiolo. So there is nothing completely wrong. Just like they are trying to get themselves to Jubilee. You know, ODM are trying to associate themselves with the Jubilee, and are trying to fathom a situation where they will form a coalition with the Jubilee. We are already there. We are there. We are part of Jubilee. Yeah. So we are only getting more accommodation because with associating with the, say for example, UNDA, which is our coalition partner, you can easily speak out your mind. And remember, this is as a result of, because we have a very irresponsible polygamous father, who is the end of Jubilee party, and having very many children from different women. You know, the children of the first mother are not getting the right treatment, and for that matter, that's why you find the firstborn, the secondborn, all complaining because the father is becoming irresponsible and is not treating us equally. So when you agree to get yourself into a polygamous marriage and, or family, then treat everyone else equal. We wouldn't have a problem. Slap us once in a while, cane us once in a while, but with those, with love, and in a manner likely to discipline or to bring people back to track back. But when you now carry a hammer, you know now the way you manage children and you radicalize them. And this is just what I would really want to say, because I believe, just like anybody else is saying, we have a mandate to deliver. And if we have a mandate to deliver, and there is no single time that we have not passed the necessary legislation to support the Jubilee administration to deliver on its mandate, then we shouldn't be criminalized, or this should not be criminalized for having a different opinion or a different view. Otherwise, the right of expression and the right of association in our constitution is so fundamental, is so sacrosanct, that anybody that wants to tell us you can limit that right, then that must be opposed.
Okay. Well, Matangi, I need to take a quick break, but will you be able to take a stand over legislation that is wanted by the government and is rejected by the people? Because you said it's about a good legislation.
Can you allow me to just mention something on Linturi's polygamous marriage?
And that responsible father.
And the many children from many wives.
Yes. Go ahead.
Because, no pun intended.
I thought, okay, anyway, he can be excused if only then, out of those many wives, if he's referring to the political parties, if UDA then was Mpango Akando, not a real wife. Because I remember, and unless my brother Linturi is forgetting, that we held a major ceremony at Bomas of Kenya, when all parties that intended to be affiliated to Jubilee attended, and we agreed that all those parties that were joining Jubilee then were folding up. And they all folded up in a public event in Bomas. And so Jubilee thus became that carrier of all those political parties. If UDA then, as Linturi claims, is a part or member of Jubilee, then it must have been either Mpango or Kando or something else. But otherwise, parties that were in Jubilee then folded up. But that be as it may. Yeah. I think that the question here that abounds is, and I think as a legislator, this is a question that we must ask ourselves. Do we want to respect the law? And I made this point here, Trevor, last week, about the Political Parties Act, the inherent requirements in it, and what we are supposed to do and interpret from political party leadership as far as concerned. And that's why I would be saying to my brother Senator Linturi and to Dr. Alfred Mutua as we move, because he's a party leader, hopefully very sooner than later I might be one myself. But you want to ask yourself, Trevor, do you want to have a scenario whereby you have a law that first was intended to discipline political parties and force them to have ideals and an ideology that you can be able to sell and perpetuate way beyond individuals, such that you say these are the principles, the beliefs, that this political party stands for, and then that becomes what people believe in. Yeah. Over the years, like what happens in the US, when you're a Democrat, they know what you stand for. Yeah. When you're a Republican, they know what you stand for. And so when you choose to run as a Democrat, people know what principles do you follow. What is your ideology? What values do you have? That's what we were trying to promote when we had the Political Parties Act. Two, the intention of that act was to ensure that we do not have what then was labeled by one of the politicians in Parliament as prostitution, political prostitution, whereby you have a politician who gets into this party, and then once they find their ticket, then they get in, they're in bed with this one, they're in bed with that one, they go to the other one. That's what we're trying to rein in. Yeah. The question we would ask ourselves soberly as politicians is this: do we want to have the decency and hygiene to promote that such that we can then have a proper democracy? If we do not do that, then we can still continue to have these shambles. And I thought that it was a good thing first as we believed in it, because remember, we've been having this problem of having 200, 300 political parties, whereby you find that you cannot even believe in any of them or even get to understand. We're saying, why don't we then slowly distill that we would have maybe 3, 4, 5 political parties that people then can run on, and if you are not in those ones, then be an independent. You get what I mean? Yeah. So I think that's what in the argument of Senator Linturi would need to be addressing as legislators. But when it comes then to the political arena of survival for the fittest, or you get it as you want it, then it becomes a whole different game. So I think those two things must be cleared. Yeah. Your last question was, am I going to be able, as Majority Chief Whip, to
take a divergent opinion from the position of the government?
Have a position on legislation that you said is what? That you said
it's favored by the government.
It's favored by the government.
People do not want taking a contrary opinion to what the government wants. Will you be able to do that?
Contrary to government would first have to have the correct interpretation of what government is. And I said that yesterday in Parliament. This thing about a democratic government started long way before, when Abraham Lincoln stood and talked about democracy being a government for the people, by the people, of the people, and claiming that it will not die from the face of earth. And when you talk of government, that is the perception, that that government is a government of the people. And when you serve it, you are serving the people. And if there is anything in any legislation that will not be for the people, then what you do is stand and tell your party, and tell those that are with you in the party, and even those that are on the opposing side, you tell them that this, I believe, should be the best way. Can we agree? Can we have consensus? Can we correct? Can we amend? Such that what we finally come up with is a law that serves all. And I believe having your mind clear, having a position, is not offensive as long as you do that correctly, that you ensure that you have consensus and you know that it is not only your line of thought or your rationale that carries the day. It is the consensus that you have with majority, and that is how voting is done in Parliament.
All right.
It's done by a majority.
Okay. I have to take a quick break here on Daybreak. When we come back, we still have a lot more to talk about. Governors are now going to get 409 billion in new sweet deal. We'll find out from the governors how much of an impact that will have, and also the public was in uproar after MCAs were given a grant of 2 million shillings, which translates to about 4.5 billion shillings for cars, while the doctors were told there's not enough money. We'll find out from the governor in the House how come they can raise the money for the grants and not for the doctors. See you in a bit.